as I was explaining to you, the community that I'm building up over here was definitely interested in, your recent events. But I want to unpack it and give them the totality of Captain Tazaryach, not just this one singular event that we both know what I'm alluding to, but more
Hmm.
so, who is Captain Tazaryach? Where do you come from? What's the pedigree, and how do we get here today?
Okay, well, I'm Captain Tazaryach of ISUPK under Commanding General Yahanna. That's my direct pedigree. Um, Found out I was an Israelite in 2009. I got to ISUPK February of 2010. Haven't looked back since then. Since that time, I used to travel down to Philly all the time, and then over the years, maybe like in 2011, I think, yeah, 2011, 2010, we had, I'm sorry, 2011, we had the Passover at the Malcolm X Center in 2011. And from that moment forward, I was given the task of building New York up. So I met Captain Shemawala. The brother came up in here, Zakar, Katazar, Korah, a couple of brothers that came in real strong, and we started, having camp with the assistance of the brothers in Philly. So what would happen is, because we didn't have enough manpower at the time, because it was just me and Shemawala, Philly used to come up every Saturday. And so when y'all used to see us speaking in Times Square, that was brothers driving all the way up. That's General Haas, Captain Ty War, Captain Makabat, Gabar Yala, Mawa Quad. A lot of brothers, was putting in the work coming up here. And then the more we made our presence felt in New York, we started getting more brothers and sisters coming into the school. And then Philadelphia didn't have to come up here no more because we was able to hold it down. So once we was doing it in Times Square, we transitioned to 125th Street. And, the school was founded at 1 West 125th Street. So for those that may not know, when we say 1 West, we're referencing the address of the original school that was established. And
Okay.
so, what I'm saying? So that's why when we say we 1 West, that's also, well, I'll get into that later. But so as we came onto 125th Street, that's, for those that may not know, Harlem 125th Street would be like Jerusalem for any blackness that you could think about, whether it's Showtime at the Apollo, whether it's just the mystique of it. Harlem was like the Renaissance, if you think about, a lot of movements was over there. And so going back to 125th Street is something I definitely wanted to do. Now, I'm not from New York myself, but even I recognize the power that 125th Street had. Once we got on 125th Street, we started hitting 125th Street maybe like July of 2012. No, I'm sorry. We hit it in the winter of 2013. Kind of cold, but as the weather started breaking, that's when maybe around the spring or summer, that's when I first encountered Sarnetta. Um, Sarnetta was familiar, and I think in hindsight, I might have seen like his videos like on YouTube, because he used to have a lot of videos where he was having like he used to have this, if anybody remember with Sarnetta back in the DVD days, he used to have the slave pictures as his background.
Right on the background of the building.
Right, right. And so maybe from traveling back and forth, I saw it, or maybe I saw it in a video. But Sarnetta came to the camp one day and he was just like, can I film? Is it okay if I film while y'all teaching? So we don't stop nobody from filming. You could do what you want. So Sarnetta began to film us. And then I think he put one of the speakings like on his channel. Still didn't know too much about him. So then he started coming and he started saying, what about, you want to do these debates? And he mentioned Sarah Suit and Seti at the time. And
Okay.
so I didn't know the name Sarah Suit and Seti, but when he gave me the DVD, which I threw in the trash, when I looked up Sarah Suit and Seti, because okay, the reason why, and Sarnetta knows it, I threw the DVD in the trash because the DVD was like Sarah Suit and Seti destroys the Israelites, or the Israelites, some type of crazy ass title we had in that. And I was like, man, I ain't listening to this. But I did look up Seti, and although I didn't know the name, I recognized Seti because Seti was a cat that also had a presence at the time. So now I'm saying to myself, okay, if Sarnetta coming and introducing this brother, this must be it must be something to it. So I started looking up, stuff and
Right. Naturally.
learn
Naturally, you
right,
do
started
that.
learning right about like what this conscious community was, because I had known nothing about the conscious community or anything at that point. Maybe like the next 2 or 3 weeks, he brings this guy Polite to the camp. So I don't know Polite at all. I'm sorry, but in the middle of that, I had gave Sinetta my phone number. He asked me if I was interested in a debate, and I told him I was, but he never responded back. But when he comes in front of the camp with Polite, he tried to perpetrate like he was been looking for us, but we've been running. Like Sinetta been using the whole "we
Yeah.
running" for a long time. Like that's not a it's not a new thing with him saying we running, we doing this, we not doing that or whatever. So,
And
but I
that's a
called.
common angle. That's a common angle, like a platform will try to use to get you to move. You know what I'm saying? For people who don't
Right.
know.
Right, to get you to say something, to get you to respond, something like that. So I called him out on it. Me and Polite go back and forth, and a lot of people don't know. Like Polite could have really embarrassed ISUPK that day because on that day he called for a scripture. I think it was Second Kings, the 17th chapter. And so I tell a brother get the scripture, but the brother pulled the wrong verse. But because Polite is not sure if I guess Polite wasn't sure if maybe he called the wrong verse, he just let it go. Whereas if he would have walked up, let's say if he would have called the right verse, which he did, the brother pulls the wrong verse, reads it, and if he would have walked off, he really could have cut us and said, "Man, they don't even know the Bible, they don't even know him." But he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't sure if that was the right verse or not. So we go back and forth that day. At the end of that day, Polite mentions he want to do a debate. So once he say he want to do a debate, I really, when I talked to General Hyman about it, I said, General Hyman, yeah, Captain Tawar, he gonna do the debate because Captain Tawar was the highest ranking man at the time. Well, he still outranks me, but I'm saying highest ranking man at that time when I'm telling this story. And General Hyman was like, "No, you gonna do the debate." So I had never done like debate and what I realized now in 2023 that all of these are the same, whether it's on the street or whether it's in a closed environment, we debate all the time. But I'm looking at it like from a scholastic type of point, like it would be different.
Yeah,
So he tells me, so he tells me I got to do the debate. And so I agreed to the debate. So now Polite and Sinetta them, they thinking of like ways to promote, like how we gonna promote. And so we came up and did this debate at the Black and Nobel bookstore in Philadelphia. Like that's a bookstore. Definitely want to support black business. So Black and Nobel in Philadelphia. Now the way they played me though. I think they tried. Yeah, they tried to set me up. So they was like, because I didn't know what Black and Nobel was. Because like when they say, okay, we just gonna go to Black and Nobel, we just gonna have an interview right there, and then it'll give the people a different environment, different setup, X, Y, Z. So I was like, all right, bet, no sweat. So when we get into the Black and Nobel, they got it set up like a debate. So when I come up the steps, they got a sea of people. I got to walk through these people to get to the front. Polite is already teaching. And so when I get up there, I'm like, okay, this is a debate. We'll see what it is. And so we had that debate. And then we end up having the final debate December 7th of 2013. And that kind of, I would say that road right there is kind of what put me on the path to where a lot of people know me today, because then I started debating everybody. I started debating the Shakas, the Unks, having conversations with SETI. I never debated SETI, but we had a conversation. So I started debating everybody across the planet. And as I'm debating, the school is growing at the same time. So now with that debate, by doing those debates, it's a good fishing tool because we like the aggressive competition. Like I love
the fire,
that type of aggression.
Yeah,
like I love that. It's almost like if you think of like battle rap, like when you go in that arena with battle rap, that's how we going intellectually. So the more we debated, the more the school grew, the more it was beneficial, and just pushing the truth. And so then I've done different things. I would do lectures. So I started doing lectures as well. I even started doing cookouts. Like the first cookout we had in ISUPK was in Harlem. We did the first cookout in I think it was 2014 is when we did the first cookout. And it's a beautiful thing. Like all the Israelite brothers came, even if they was not in the school. And that's another thing. Like a lot of people think because we say we're not affiliated, that keeps us from having conversations or meetings or gathering or get-togethers with these brothers, but those brothers all came to the cookout. The conscious community came to the cookout. People from the streets came to the cookout. So it was a beautiful thing. Then you had the following year when me and Sanetta's doing an interview and the little African boy comes up. I don't think I'm ever gonna live that little African boy down, because as I'm doing the interview, that he was, he was intelligent. Like, he was smart. He was a smart kid, still a smart kid. And when Sanetta said, "This is my," when we found out that he's a African, he said, "This is my brother. Can he come to the cookout?" And I say no. I remember when we was walking back from the interview, because Katazai was with me during the interview, and when we had the interview, Katazai said, "You're not gonna live that." Katazai either said, "You're not gonna live that down,"
Yeah.
or they gonna go crazy when they put that shit up. And so I was like, damn, because people not, because like now when Sanetta asked me if I would feed a little white baby and I said no, nobody had a problem with that. But now you have this little kid, and first I'm saying little kid, he was like 13 or 14. So you have this teenager, and although he didn't ask to come to the cookout, you got Sanetta putting it up there. They put me on what we call a summer jam screen. So like Seti and Polite had a debate that summer, like maybe like April or June, where they playing that video and just replaying the shit. So everybody's like, Tazaryach, you ain't shit, you ain't this, you ain't that. Like, it was a horrible time.
Even just from a person on standby, I was watching this as it went down online. So whether it dropped a year or 6 months, I don't know. But when it happened, I was right there. And I would say that was like the first strike or smudge on your armor.
Right, definitely.
Had no tints in your armor. That is always the first thing people go to. That African boy who can't come to the cookout.
Now now they got like, I done had so many people, like even on Clubhouse, they'll say like, can I come to the cookout? Or they'll say, I'm coming to the cookout. Like, I got I got my girl Kim, she be on the stages and stuff with us, and she always say like, I'm coming to the cookout, stuff like that. So that's almost like the thing to say, I'm coming to the cookout. Yeah, shout out to Kim, excellent sister. So what's funny was what took away, I remember Red Pill. So I know like a few people. So Blue Pill and Red Pill. I remember when Cross the Line happened on the street with Polite, right? Mm-hmm. I remember Red Pill coming up to me like the next week, and he said, "You made everybody forget about that little African boy with that Cross the Line with Polite."
Oh yeah, that's
because they happened. It was like boom, boom. So like it was almost like June was when they did the. Matter of fact, the beginning of July was when they had the little African boy, the Me Not Feeding the African boy, and then like maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, Cross the Line happened. And I remember Red Pill said that Cross the Line, that moment saved you because everybody was vilifying me at the time. So of course, Cross the Line, for those that know what I'm referencing, that's when me and Polite, and I want to use this as what I'm about to say as a litmus test for even the situation I'm in with well, I'm not in the situation. Let me rephrase it. The situation that happened with WAC. I'm gonna show you, give y'all an example. So on that